If you've struggled with stress, balance, or burnout, and simply feel discouraged or even defeated, and if you're ready to move from force to flow and enjoy ultimate Zen success in your career, health, or relationships, then the Zen Success Show is for you. Your host, Carissa Sims, is an entrepreneur, corporate consultant, best-selling author, meditation teacher, and healer who has found her own Zen success. Here's your host, Carissa Sims.
Welcome to this week's episode of Zen Success. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Martha Burich. Martha, Masters of Education, is the author of Yes, You Can Raise Happy, Responsible Children, endorsed by Jack Canfield, co-author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. A former college child psychology professor and special education high school teacher, Martha brings decades of expertise to her writing and speaking engagements. She is a contributing author to the Chicken Soup for the Soul Cookbook and is frequently invited to share her insights on podcasts and shows. She is known as the parent's best friend. Welcome, Martha.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Wonderful. Well, why did you write Yes, You Can Raise Happy, Responsible Children? What inspired you?
That's a really good question, Charissa. And it's because when my son was 4, he was so spoiled. Oh my goodness, we were miserable. My husband was miserable. I was miserable. The child was miserable. And it was all because we did not know how to say no. Here's what we did. We did the easy thing and our lives became very hard. The easy thing was to say yes. And even when I would say no, he would push and I'd change it. And so
no didn't really mean he's just like,
didn't.
oh, it's just going to take a few moments and then.
Yes, exactly. And then the one time when I did say no and meant it, he went crazy. I'll tell you that story later. Anyway,
I experienced that.
All right. Yeah. What? Oh, what? This can't be happening to me.
My formula isn't working.
And one time my mother-in-law even said to me, he'd be a wonderful child if he'd just take no for an answer. Yeah, I understand completely. So anyway, I took these parenting lessons 1 hour a week, and boy, they were like magic. I did, I did whatever they told me to do. Short of, I thought if as long as they don't tell me to hurt my child, hit him or say anything, mean to him, I'm going to do whatever they tell me to do. And boy, it worked.
That's amazing. Well, it's interesting. I was just looking at an alternative perspective in how kids can push back and say no. In a way, there are some positives to that, because like, say they get into sales or have their own business, they can maybe be persuasive and not take no for an answer. So there's some things that I think can be positive about that. And I don't know what you think about that, that different perspective.
Well, no, there are times when all of us need to say no. And need to, all of us also need to push, because we have to learn, because if you don't push, you won't persist. And people who don't persist cannot win. Mm-hmm. You must learn to persist. But then there also comes a time when, we as adults and children need to think, okay, you know what? I think I've pushed this far enough.
Yes. And the boundaries. So you took this class, and can you say the name of the class? Do you feel comfortable with that?
Oh, it was a systematic training for effective parenting. It was.
Oh, wow. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it was very big back then. Very well. I don't know if it was ever very big, but the people that put it on really knew what they were doing, and I was very, very blessed. So that's what. And then with my years of teaching child psychology, I did that for 10 years, and and that was an interesting story too. I replaced a man who didn't have any children, had been teaching the same course for like 30 years, and he got sick or whatever. And so I had to come in and replace him in the middle of the year. And I was looking through his notes. he had handwritten notes, and the students would tell me that he would stand up in front of the class and just read. They said it was the most boring class they'd ever been to. Oh, I completely understand. Whereas I came in, one time I had them all bring their kids.
Ah,
We had class with children running all around. Oh, we had so much fun. Oh my
that's
goodness, it was fun.
amazing. That's amazing. So then you signed up for this class, and was it just you or your husband also?
No, he did not attend. No, it was just me. And
Mhm.
what was really interesting, Charissa, is there were other
Carissa.
parents there.
Carissa.
Car
It's yeah,
Carissa.
just ignore the H. Yeah.
Carissa.
hmm
Thank you. Oh, Carissa. Okay,
hmm
thank you. All right. Well, what was really interesting is these other parents every week we had an assignment every week, and that's how I structure my parenting lessons too. We have an assignment every week. And we would come back, and the first thing it'd say was, "How did it go?" And I would be like, "Whoa, that really worked." Because even if it didn't work, I would keep pushing because they said it worked. And I'll be darned, it's going to work because they said it worked, and this book says it says it works. Well, anyway, these other parents would be like, "No, I tried, but it didn't work." They were like me, say no and change it to yes.
hmm
They didn't really push. They didn't really, it
Right.
wouldn't work the first time. They'd be like, "Oh, I quit. It doesn't work."
And maybe they
And
didn't truly believe it, and so
right,
their heart wasn't in it. And
exactly,
yeah.
exactly, yeah. One lady even dropped out. Her little girl was like 6 or something. And I remember the instructor was so frustrated with her. And the instructor said, "Honey, you're going to have to be a little more firm with your child." And I think the woman just like, I think the child really ran
Ran
that
the house.
household.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so you tried some of these things and it really worked and you were determined. And did you not when we say train your husband or just show him because that could be a problem too if one person is implementing some practices and then the
mhm.
husband or other parent does the opposite.
Exactly. And, we have to really tread lightly on that. There are some things that we have to make firm delineation, firm lines. Look, this is how you and I are going to do this. Let's make a pact. You and I are going to do this, because what happens is, you know, the family dynamic, it'll be the child and mom against dad, or the child and dad against mom, mom and dad against the child. Well, mom and dad should be a united front, but certainly not against the child, but we should stand firm because we know what's best for the child. Well, there's also times when you just have to let dad be dad, and you have to let mom be mom, and let them
hmm
have the relationships. They really have to make a decision of which boundaries the both of you are going to enforce, because some of the stuff the kid can get by with. And let me give you an example. Okay, dads, people don't realize how important dads are. All right, so I have this friend
They
who
are
has a
really
grandchild.
important, critical.
Oh, really? Yes, yes. In fact, I heard a judge talking that he had never, in his years on the bench, not a single person came before him, not a single child offender, not one who lived in an intact family. Can you believe that, Carissa? Well,
Mhm.
not one. That's how important fathers are. That's how important families are, mom and dad. Well, anyway, so he's got his grandchild, and dad's right there. They're out in the field, and he had made a little motorcycle for the kid, a real one, gas powered. And the kid's like 3 or 4, got his little helmet on, and he's going around. He's going around, and you can hear it, and they're taking a video, and Grandpa goes, "I don't think he's going fast enough." So the child pulls up and he goes, "You want to go faster?" And the kid goes, "Yeah." Well, said no mother ever. Yeah, I can see the look on your face. You're like, "What? Oh my goodness, go faster." What?
Already a 3-year-old on a motorcycle is giving me heart palpitation.
It was a little 3-year-old. But anyway, he turned up the throttle. Grandpa turned up the throttle. And the kid got to go even faster. And and he put this on Facebook. Every woman, "Oh my goodness, how could you do that?" But every man, "Good for you," and the
Yeah.
kid, of course, was thrilled. That's why we really have to let me tell you another story. All right, I have a friend who has some adult children. Well, one of her
Yeah.
children.
Can I just stop you?
Oh,
Because your
certainly.
point of that story was to demonstrate how male figures or fathers are positive, right?
Yes.
I just want to make sure I'm clear on this. That
Then
was
it
like
came
a
across that
positive
way.
story.
Oh
Okay.
gosh.
Because it teaches them risk and taking, yeah, okay. Okay, got it.
You know,
I'm like,
there are playgrounds in another country. I think it's Denmark. They are purposely made so when the kid there's no safety equipment or any of that. The kid falls down, he falls down. There's no
yeah.
safety ground or any of that.
I've heard that there's trends. Yeah, I heard about it in Europe and the UK about that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
big taking junkyards or big tires
Uh-huh.
and making that the
Right.
playground. Yeah, that's interesting. But okay, yes, feel free to share another story because already I'm feeling like so nervous about the next story. This is like okay, let's see the positives of the dad or male role
Who
model.
throws the baby up and catches him, right? No mother ever. No mother.
Oh,
The dad
no
throws the
mother
baby up
ever. Yeah,
and the
exactly.
baby loves it. The
Yeah.
baby, who uses the baby, puts him on his legs and does push-ups with the baby on his legs, No mother ever. But dad and the baby loves it. All right. Well, anyway, so this is an adult child. Now, this family, they have like a football some kind of ritual every year, the whole family, football, baseball, I forget which one.
Okay.
Anyway,
They get
one of the
together.
adult, yes, exactly. And one of the adult sons was experiencing addiction problems and he was going to AA and
And
they were
how
very
old
happy.
was he? Do you mind?
30 something. He
Oh,
was an adult.
30. Okay. I was going to say, I thought maybe
Yeah.
20s, but okay.
No, the truth is, Carissa, we're kids until we're children. As long, we're always somebody's kid until a parent dies. It's like when a parent
Yeah.
dies, that's when it's like, oh my God, I'm not anybody's child anymore. But that's a whole nother thing. So we are somebody's child as long as our parents are living.
Mm,
And we're big kids. A lot of us are just
yeah.
big kids. Doesn't matter how old we are.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he was going to AA and everybody was very happy. Mom, dad, everybody's very happy because he was really having some addiction problems.
Hmm.
Well, one of his meeting was the same night as this get together the family has. So dad pulled him aside and said, look, we do this every year. I don't want you to go to that AA meeting tonight. Go tomorrow.
Yeah.
Go to two tomorrow. But I
Yeah.
want you to come and do this family thing that we do every year. Well, the wife got mad. Oh my God, he's an addict. Don't you understand? He needs those meetings, blah, 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 which of course is true. But I
Hmm.
think that being with the family is also very important. Too many addicts get pushed away from the family and they need connection even more. So anyway, so she talked to me about it and I said, well, you know what? Would you like some advice? Because I'm going to give it to you. and, and she said yes. And I said, well, why don't you let dad have his relationship and you have yours?
Yeah.
Don't tell dad what to do. And dad doesn't need to tell you what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Let him encourage his son to come to the family event if that's what he wants. And
Exactly.
that's
The
what he
son can
wanted.
make his own decision.
Hmm.
He can say, okay, dad, I want you to be there, but I really need to go to AA. I mean, it could have been, but it was between dad and the child, not
Hmm.
not anybody else. It was their relationship.
Wonderful. Well, yeah, I agree. I mean, there's many positives about both, the mother and the father. But I appreciate you giving some of those examples, like of stepping outside of the box of what you're normally supposed to do, and yeah, being together. That's wonderful. So I wanted to go back to how you were sharing about what inspired you to write this book. And so you started making changes with your son. What were some of the shifts? So I assume it was boundaries. Like you and your husband couldn't say no and couldn't set clear boundaries. Is that correct?
Right, right. And we were typical parents. We didn't want him to be disappointed. So
Yeah.
we would shield him from things
An
and he didn't.
only child, right?
Right.
Only
And he
child.
didn't have a lot of chores because, well, goodness gracious, a child shouldn't have too many chores. Just everything totally backwards, not the way to bring up a responsible human being in the least. But then again, we did the best we knew at the time. We did the best we knew.
Mm-hmm.
And it all worked out. One of the first things they told us
Yeah.
is to stop focusing on the negative, because the only time I'd attend to him a lot was when he did something wrong, because that's what a good parent does, right? That's how my mom raised me. But
Mm-hmm.
no, the way you do it is you attend to them when they're doing the right thing.
Mm.
So they said, focus on what your child does right and say something. Just that's all you got to do this week. I mean, unless he's doing something really dangerous, just mind your business and notice what he does right. Even when he does it half, it just starts. If he's just starting to get one lace over the other, tying his shoe. Oh my goodness, I like the way you got that one lace over there. You're really coming along. Don't always
Mm.
wait for the finished product. Oh, thank you so much for handing me your dish. I really appreciate that. Oh, thank you for folding those socks. Wow. It doesn't have to be a perfect job, just any little step. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate you. Oh, I saw how nice you were to that little girl, to that little
Yeah.
boy. Oh my goodness. And right,
And I think I hardly ever do that. I mean, I have a 9 and 12-year-old, and I'm realizing how little I do that. It's just not in my repertoire, because it's like if something that they're doing, it's like I have this radar. Oh, okay, they're doing something wrong. That's when I jump in, you know?
right, right. It's like, oh, the kids are quiet. The kids are quiet. Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah. So then you started doing this positive reinforcement, which is so healing, I'm sure, for
It
anyone.
it really changed our relationship. And as he grew older, oh well, all right. So we're about 4 weeks into this.
Okay.
And he came home from school one day. So what was he? Preschool. So he was like four and a
Yeah.
half. He was young. And I said, I don't remember what I said to him, Carissa, but he looked at me and he said, "Are you trying to use that psychology stuff on me again?"
Touche.
And I said, "Yes, I am." And he said, "It's not working." But he was totally wrong. It was working really well. I
Oh,
just smiled. Yes, dear. Yes,
yeah.
dear.
I bet his heart really expand because he could feel that you loved him for who he was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he had so many wonderful qualities, so many wonderful qualities. And
Because when you point out what's wrong, then the child probably has self-esteem issues, which is true of my children.
it's with all of us. We all have
Mhm.
that because all of our parents think that their job is to make us better humans, not realizing that the way to make someone a better human is to focus on what they're already doing right and make more of it. There's that cartoon where there's an elephant and a snake and a squirrel, I think, and a bird, and they're all lined up, and the teacher says, "Okay, it's time for the test. Whoever can climb the tree the highest gets an A." Well, the elephant's going to get an F. He can't even begin to go up the tree on his
Mhm.
feet, even though he could reach up with his trunk,
Yeah.
and the squirrel is going to win, and the snake, I guess he could get way up there too. But what's the point? The point is that we expect everybody to have the same skills and abilities, and we grade them at school over how well they do certain things that not everybody can do well. Now, let me tell you another story. Are you ready for this one?
I
Somebody
don't
told me.
know. I got the 3-year-old on the motorcycle. Okay. I'm on the edge of my seat now.
Okay, a man I know who got a GED dropped out of high school, and this is very typical because when your teachers don't treat you well and you don't think you're smart, you drop out. Okay, because school is not a positive place. Anyway, this young man, when he was small, he was like 6 or 7, maybe 8. He had attention deficit really bad, so he had a lot of behavior problems, and he couldn't read. He had dyslexia. The teacher actually, oh, I hope I don't cry, put him in front of the room with a dunce cap on his head, put a dunce cap on his head. When he told us that story, you could see the
Oh,
tears in his eyes. All his life, he felt stupid. He thought he was
yeah.
stupid. And one day he said, "Well, I just have a GED." I said, I taught that test, general education degree. These are for people who don't graduate high school. And a lot of them can't even pass that. A lot of people who have a high school diploma cannot pass that test. It is not easy. I said, you don't realize how smart you are that you could even you could take that test and pass it.
Yeah.
Not to mention the self-discipline it took to go to those classes and
Yeah.
study and take that test. People do not realize what it takes to do that. And then he showed a Facebook post. He had a stack of books. Where's my hand? Okay, he had a stack of books, 18 inches high. And he says, "This is my reading." And they were not Dick and Jane. Okay. These were adult, Socratic type books.
Yeah.
The
High
Bibles.
level.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the Bible, please. Who can read the Bible? That is a very high level book,
Yeah.
but anyway, he said, "This is my reading material." And I said to him, I said, "You know what? A lot of teachers owe you a gigantic apology." Because
Hmm.
all his life he thought he was less than. And here he is. He is a master carpenter. He can put anything together.
Yeah.
He has all these skills and abilities and a fabulous father and husband.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. I know it's like teachers, they can lift you up or they can bring you down because I remember a teacher in the sixth grade that I had that really lifted me up about my writing abilities. And I am a writer. And then in seventh grade, I had a teacher that did the opposite. And I was in like a gifted and talented program in elementary school. And then, she recommended that I get kicked out of that and all of and said all of these things to my mom and me in the room, about how horrible my writing was. And, it's interesting. And I think it held me back from writing for a long time. Even though I had the opposite experience, it's like there was something about that, her energy that got ingrained into who I was and who I thought I was as an adult.
you have to hear 6 yeses for every no.
Yeah.
You got one negative, and where were the 6 yeses? Because you had to get them around there. The six positives. You had one
Yeah.
negative that really, really hurt because you were a writer. You were very proud of that. And
Yeah.
somebody put that down, somebody in
Mhm.
authority. And that harmed you because you thought they knew best.
Right, right. And I believe them and that's like my mom was just like there, not like standing up for me or anything. So,
Mhm.
but that's fine. I'm not like mad at her or anything. I'm
Right.
sure she barely remembers it, you know.
Well, and plus she teacher was an authority.
That's right. That's
Teacher
right.
was an
You just sit
authority.
there and listen.
Now, do you know the
So
story
it's
of
just so
Edison?
wonderful to hear that story though. And I've heard other stories about that of kids with a certain disability and then they learn in the way that's right for them. And
Right.
then I heard of this other story where this gentleman went on to be a doctor because he learned how to study,
Oh, that's
being
good.
ADHD and
Right.
dyslexic. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know the story of Edison? Thomas Edison?
Well, kind of, but you could share it because
All
it's
right.
really powerful.
Yes. When he was young, I think sixth grade, fifth, sixth grade, so 11, 12 years old, he came home from school and had a note from his teachers. And unbeknownst to him, his mother read it but didn't tell him what it said. And he said, "Mom, what does the note say?" And she said, "Your teachers have told me that they've gone as far as they can with you. You're too intelligent for them, and that I should really train you from now on, teach you at home. So that's what we're going to do." Now, and and he believed her. He thought that's what it said. Well, after his mother died, he was going through her things, and she still had that letter in her things. And
Kept
it
it.
said, "Your son is an idiot. We can't teach him. You're going to have to teach him yourself." Thomas Edison.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
if it
then,
wasn't for Thomas Edison, we wouldn't be sitting here with lights. We
right.
wouldn't, Thomas Edison financed Henry Ford, the car.
Wow.
He's the one who gave Henry Ford money and everything to
Yeah.
build his engine and his motors and his cars. So
Yeah.
what
So
we
look at
need,
this ripple effect that
yes,
the mom, because she chose, I mean, some moms could actually ridicule their kids and do the
that's
opposite and rub it in their face or I mean, obviously you and I would never imagine, but there are moms like that. And so he was like so blessed to have this mom that stood up for him and who he was. And it's interesting. So I have two kids. I have one that's homeschooled, that's 9, and then I have another one who goes to traditional school. And but I see self-esteem issues in both of them. And so now I'm thinking, hello, it's me. And so I want to go deep into your method. So because it's like I feel that way about school also, but I do feel like there's some positive things. And my son does want to stay in school. And then my daughter actually wants to go to school next school year. So I'm going to let her, go back to it because that's what she wants to do. But I mean, what do you think about homeschooling versus regular school?
Well, each child is different, and it's up to
Yeah.
that parent and that child. But school is where children learn bad behavior. Let's face it.
That's true.
And
Yeah.
school and television and entertainment and all that just teach bad behavior. And also school, you have got to get a thick skin. And
That's true.
that's a good
You have to be
that's a good
tough.
thing,
There's
because you know
bullies
what?
and
You don't believe everything somebody tells you. And in fact, Wayne Dyer told a story about his daughter. She came home from school one day and she said, Billy doesn't like me. And most parents would say, well, oh my goodness, what can we do to make Billy like you? And Wayne said, well, do you like you? And then she said, yes. And he goes, well, then it doesn't matter what Billy thinks, does it?
Wow.
So see, we have to keep those things. One mother, oh my goodness, Carissa. All right, this mother on Facebook, how old's the child? 3 years old, going to daycare. And mom said, we don't eat any processed foods or anything, but I don't want my daughter to feel different. So I'm afraid to send her lunch. I'm afraid to send a lunch with her that she'll feel ostracized or different.
Oh, because it's
Please,
healthy.
please, no, because maybe all the other kids are going to be eating whatever they feed them at school.
Oh yeah. No, that
She
was
was
my world. Yeah.
more concerned about what other people think than her daughter's health and
Yeah,
well-being
yeah.
and what she's eating. But see, that's how ingrained it is in us that, oh my goodness, everybody's got to like us. Oh my
To
goodness,
be
the worst
accepted.
thing in
Yeah.
the world is to not be liked. Oh
I
dear.
know. Yeah, that was my reality. My children went to preschool in Los Angeles, and I'm like making them healthy snacks and lunches and everything around them. I mean, cookies, everything processed. And I've lightened up a lot. I mean, when they were kids, I was pretty strict about health, and now I'm a little bit more loose, like for special occasions, but
You have to
that's pretty
unlearn.
much their world. Yeah.
Yes, in fact,
Although
I
all
was
my
just
friends are doing it, drinking
right.
sodas and all this stuff. I'm like, do they have how many cavities have they had?
Right, exactly. Yeah, but I hear you completely. We do have to lighten up. And Wayne Dyer told a story about that he had M&Ms in his house in these bowls all around. And in his house, they didn't eat candy or anything, but they didn't say you can't have it. So his kids would never bother him. Just they'd take a couple and leave it. Well, when they had guests over who were in very strict households, those kids would take those M&Ms and pour them in their pockets and and they'd be like, he'd be like, what are you doing? Oh my goodness. You mean you can eat this whenever you want? You can have this. And then we set people up for failure. We set them up to like, oh my God, I've got to have 4 donuts. I can't just have one. Oh my God,
Oh, right, right, right. Yeah, that's true. Where they panic because they don't have enough treats. Well, I
Mhm.
want to go into some of your methods. What are the 3 L's of your parenting method?
The 3 L's. Love them enough to say no. Because
Yeah.
see, we all suffer from the bondage of self, and we want our children to love us. So I'm just
Yeah.
going to say yes to you because I want to be your friend, and I want you to love me. I think the way to do that is to say yes because I don't have any boundaries. I haven't grown up quite yet.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. So love them enough to say no and mean it. And also you got to think before you open your big mouth and say no, think, do I really need to say no this time? Because there are
Mm,
sometimes when you'll
think
say
about it.
no, And then you don't really need to. Why did I say no to that? I could have said yes. Well,
Mm-hmm.
think about it first before it comes out of your mouth. And lead by example. Now, don't smoke. You shouldn't smoke. You shouldn't drink.
Was smoking and drinking. Yeah.
Right. And you got
Exactly.
to get your exercise as I'm sitting here
Need.
watching TV 4 hours a night or just sitting on my phone.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So lead by example
Uh-huh.
and let them fail. Okay. Take piano lessons. See if you like it. If you don't like it,
Yeah.
good. Try something else. A lot of times it's, well, you've tried this and you've tried that. You try things. You never stick with anything. I'm a kid. I'm trying to figure out which one I like.
Mm-hmm.
Cut me some slack. I didn't, okay, baseball, I tried it. It didn't seem to be for me. Football, like whatever, let them try, let them try out for their school play and not get the part. Oh, honey, don't try for the lead. You might not get it. You might be disappointed. Why don't you just try to be the frog or the
You try to protect them. That's like the
right.
overprotective
Yes.
family. Well, it's funny because when I set boundaries, and I'm not good at this, I definitely need to practice and implement your methods. Um, just by the way. But when I do set boundaries and I say no and I mean it, like I'll pull over in the car and I'll just be quiet.
Okay.
And then my son will be like, "You're so mean. I can't believe you do that." So he has this thing where he tries to hurt me, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
And so anyway, sometimes I have something really smart to say, and sometimes it really does hurt me.
Mhm.
And I'm like, can you say something else? Like you are being mean to me instead of like I am mean or something, like rephrase it because I know that you feel bad. I don't know. Any suggestions in that scenario?
Whenever we are thwarted in what we want, we're going to lash out. Okay, that's human nature.
Yeah.
And if he were to say to you from the back seat, "Your hair's green," you'd laugh. You'd laugh because your hair's not green. But because there's a little bit of you, it's like, oh, she's right. I am a mean mom sometimes.
I
You
know,
know,
I do.
so
I
there's a little
feel
bit of
that.
that truth. That's right. There's a little bit of that truth in there, and you're asking him to put the truth in a better way that you can handle it better. Just when I was a teacher, students who were really the worse the student was, the worse the teacher he told me I was. Okay, so he'd be like, you're a lousy teacher, and I would go, hon, I really appreciate you letting me know, and here's how you can help me. I want to be the best teacher for everybody. And obviously, I'm missing the mark with you. I need you to tell me what it is I'm not doing or I am doing that's not working with you and what you think I should do differently. Now, don't tell me, you need to write it down because I need to be able to read it and think about it. Because if I can do it, I want to help you. But maybe I won't be able to do it, but I won't know unless you write it down because you need to think about it too.
Did you ever get that note?
Oh, of course not.
Exactly. Because then they have to be introspective and really think about it. And they were just lashing out.
Exactly. So you could say to your son, well, hon, I appreciate your feedback.
Oh.
I know this is frustrating, just like you already said to him, I know you're frustrated and aggravated. So if this is really important to you, I really need you to write me a letter and say exactly how it is that I mean and what you think I should do differently. Because then I'll have time to reflect and we can talk about it. But for you just to tell me, things don't stick in my mind that way. I need to have something written down that I can contemplate and think about.
No,
Does that
thank you
sound
for
like a
that
plan?
advice.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's usually, well, I mean, part of the issue too is maybe I didn't set a good enough boundary for the phone. So it's most of the arguments we have are screen
Yes.
related.
Yep.
I
You
can't
and
think, I mean, and also the way he treats his sister. So,
you and a gazillion other parents are having that screen time problem. Yeah.
yeah. Well, how do these other parenting movements fit into your methods, like conscious parenting or mindful parenting? Do you integrate those concepts?
I think they're pretty much the same thing. What
Oh,
I'm really
yeah.
kind of concerned about though is there's a parenting method. Oh, I forgot the name of it, but it's there's one where I don't know, they call it gentle parenting. So
Gentle
anyway,
parenting. Okay, I haven't heard of that.
they're always placating the child. Well, no, sometimes you just have to go, look, I said no. I'm the parent.
Yeah.
Most of the time I want to give you an example or give you a reason, but sometimes it just no. It's just not going to work
Mhm.
this time. You just can't
Yeah.
do it. Period.
Right.
And I am your friend, but you know what? Friends are for you to talk to and have fun with and blah, blah, blah. I'm the person who's concerned about your safety, your future, and the world around you. I'm responsible for you. I can't be your good buddy. I got to be the person who is going to say no to you because I love you. Because if I didn't love you as much, I would let you do whatever you want. And how's that going to help anybody?
Yeah. Well, I think you touched on this a little bit, but how do we help our kids be confident and empowered to be leaders of their own lives?
Well, number one, if you're lonely, okay, you go to school and you're like, oh my goodness, am I going to have any friends? What am I going to do? Here's what I tell everybody who's lonely. You know what? If you go to a party, you go to school, whatever, you don't have any friends, like you're brand new at school. Okay, let's say you're brand new at school, you don't know anybody. You go in there and you look around for the person sitting all by themselves. You will be their friend. That's leadership. That's leadership. You talk to the fat girl. You talk to whoever, the ones that seem to be social outcasts, and that you would think to yourself, oh my goodness, what if I'm seen with her? What if I'm seen with him? Well, okay, what if you are seen with them? What does that mean? That means you're a leader. That means that you lead and you help and you care.
I love that. That's so powerful. I feel like that's the key to peace on our planet,
Yeah,
starting with the kids, reaching
that's
out to others.
that's right. And people seem to think that there's this whole idea of parents of, we'll say, average children. Okay, average children. They seem to think that children who aren't um, to children who have some disabilities, some whatever handicaps. Well, you know what? Everybody wants a full life. Everybody wants friends. Everybody wants love. We need to look at people and just, hi, how are you? Everybody.
Hmm.
We're also like afraid to approach people with disabilities. Whenever I see a parent with a child who's in a wheelchair or whatever, cerebral
Hmm.
palsy, whatever, because I was a special ed teacher, I always talk to the child. Oh,
Yeah.
mom, can I talk to your child? Because I always ask permission first, and if mom says okay, and if the child says okay, I'll say, can I talk to you? Do you mind? And they're like, what? Well, how are you today? What are you doing? What was a kid?
Yeah.
Vegas. What are you doing in Las Vegas? You look too young to gamble to me. Parents,
Oh my
but
God.
how often do they get a nice encounter like that? The child
Yeah.
needs that, you
Yeah,
know?
that's powerful. That's yeah, seeing them as a person. I've
Yeah.
had kids with disabilities like come up and hug me and like want to talk to me because I think they can also feel that I have an open, loving energy, and they're just like hanging out with me. I was in a restaurant by myself, and this like all these kids came in that were, cerebral palsy, had different
Yeah.
diagnoses, and
Yeah.
were just hanging out with me. And the workers that they were with, they felt bad. I was like, no, they're beautiful. I think a lot of these kids have a high vibration. Like they may have a disability, but they have so much love and other abilities. What do you think?
No, you really must have
Oh, I
told
really
them.
touched you.
I think you're really right. I was just
Yeah.
reading that today about raising our vibration, and the way you do that is you're kind. You're
Yeah.
kind, and you always look for the good. And animals aren't afraid. Animals aren't afraid to approach you. And I notice that like butterflies will fly around me, and my dogs are
Yeah.
never afraid. And so yeah,
It's so beautiful.
that's
You've
really
got
true.
that high vibe.
That's
Well,
really
how
true.
can we help our kids be their best in academics and in sports?
Well, for one thing, you have to accept them, and you have to just, I really think schools, between them and the teacher, they really need to work that out themselves. I
Okay,
mean,
just don't get in the
so
middle of it. And
do your
actually,
best
you're
not
right
to.
about that. My relationship with my son has improved so much when I don't get involved.
Mhm. One time, I think his third grade teacher was complaining to me about my son. And so I said, well, let's all talk. Let's all talk. And so we all three sat down and talked, and she said, he, this, and this. And I said, Anthony, do you agree with that? And he goes, well, yes, sometimes. And I said, well, Anthony, would you like to change? And he goes, well, I could in some ways. I said, all right, will you? Are you willing to change? He goes, well, I could make a couple of changes. Okay, so are we making a deal here? Are you willing to make a couple of changes here? And then, Mrs. So-and-so, is that acceptable to you? So we have a conversation. Okay, can you change? Because some kids are like, no, I can't change. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm scared. I can't read that stuff. She thinks
Mm-hmm.
I can do more than I can. I can't. I really can't. She keeps saying I'm faking. I'm not. And so you really have to have a conversation with the three of you, and you really have to be open, and you have to say, okay, so now you say you can make a change. Are you willing? Because then you have to say, okay, just because I can, just because I can bake bread every day, am I willing? No. So just because I can doesn't mean that I want to. So you have to say, are you willing? And all right, let's make a deal. Let's make a deal.
Mm.
Not a bribe. I'm not going to give you a gift if you do this. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. So you have to have that conversation. And then another thing that I did with my son, which was so great. This was so great. I knew more about what was going on at school than anybody, because he would come home and I would say, what was the best thing that happened at school today? And what was the worst? So he would tell me, oh, so-and-so got in trouble, blah, blah, blah. He's always getting in trouble. And,
Uh-huh.
and then I would tell him the best and worst that happened in my day. So, it was so much fun. And one day he came home, Carissa, I think third grade, and he goes, Mom, the teacher read us this most fabulous story I've ever heard. And it could always be worse. A Caldecott winner. And he told me the whole story. I was like, oh my goodness, that story is so fabulous. So I go to school, I don't know, 1 or 2 years later, I'm in the library, and I said, hey, do you know this book? I asked the librarian. She goes, of course I know that book. She pulled it right off the shelf for me. I even had a copy of it for a long time until I gave it to some friends. It could always be worse.
That's amazing. I love it. Well, why do parents sometimes get defensive about the way they raise their children?
Well, duh. Does and you probably feel this too. No matter what we do, we're wrong. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, no matter what we do. All right. When Anthony was 2, my husband put him on the back of the bicycle and still had him in that little kiddie seat.
Yeah.
And he shouldn't. He was too heavy for that. But he put him there
Oh,
anyway. So they went riding and they fell down. And Anthony got little rocks and pebbles in his hand. Now he had a helmet on, so they were fine, but he
yeah.
had rocks and pebbles in his hand. Well, my husband, he comes home and he's crying. Oh my God, I hurt him. Oh, that was funny. And I said, well, let me call the doctor. And I said, you could take him to the doctor. He goes, no, my husband, no, the doctor will be mad at me. So sometimes we're big babies, and I forgot what question you asked me
Oh,
now.
that's fine.
Because
It's
no matter
fine.
what we do, we're wrong. So my
Yeah.
husband was thinking,
We
here
don't.
I was trying to be a good dad, being with my son, doing the right
Hmm.
thing. We had an accident. Oh my God, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. And and like, okay, so you send your kid, you're like really health conscious. You won't let them have Pop-Tarts or any of that because seed oils are bad, blah, blah, blah. Well, then somebody else is like, what, you can't have some candy once in a while? What do you got to be so strict for? What do you do in Halloween?
Yeah.
Or even your mother. One time my mother, okay, I was young and ridiculous. Well, we do not spank. We do not spank. So my mother and my mother-in-law took him to a park, and he wouldn't behave. He was spoiled. He was rotten, and he wouldn't behave. So my mother just gave him a swat on the rear end. She didn't hurt him, but she got his attention. So she comes home and she says to me, I gave him a swat. Mom, that's how silly we are, instead of letting my mother have her relationship with him, there was no abuse involved,
Right.
you know.
It,
Well,
it was just
yes,
like in the
mom.
moment.
Yeah. If you had had
Mm.
enough of him, I'm sure he did something. But no, mom, no matter what we do, we're wrong. Grandma, parents. So we have to really develop our thick skins and say, you know what, I'm doing the best I can. And,
Mm.
and your kids are all going to blame. You love her better. You always love my
Yes.
brother better. My brother Bill and I was 35. We were arguing. Mom loved you best. We were 30 in our 30s. And I said, no, she loved you, this, and this. And he goes, she loved you, this, and this.
Okay, well, that goes into my next question because it seems like you've had it. I wanted to know your opinion on sibling rivalry. How
Oh,
and
I
how
know.
how do parents respond to this to facilitate kindness and love?
Studies with elite athletes have shown that sibling rivalry was a big part of their success.
Oh, so it could be a positive thing.
See, my brother was a genius. He still is, but he was hands-on. He would help my father. There are pictures of him, 2 years old, handing tools to my dad while my dad's working on the car, while our father's working on the car. Well, my brother, when he was 10, made a robot. When he was 16, took a TV apart, put it back together.
Oh yeah,
He
he's
was
a
like,
genius. Yeah.
yeah. Well, all my life, I'm like, what am I, chopped liver? You know, I'm making all A's at school. Nobody gives a flying squirrel's butt about me. No, it's Mr. Genius. And then my other brother was Mr. Creative. What am I? So all my life, I'm less than.
Mm.
Well, guess what? That little sibling rivalry in the back of my mind, that little bit of I'm not good enough, made me the first person in my family to go to college and get a degree. I'm technically I'm all but dissertation. I have master's degree plus.
Hmm.
So guess what? That did spur me, even though. So yeah, I have some friends. We're on the treadmill together, and her children are all grown, and they even have grandkids, and they were still going, well, you love my sister better. I said, oh Lord.
Okay, I guess it doesn't end. Well, what are your views on computer screen and phone use for children? Do you
You got to be
believe in
really
limits?
You got to be really careful. Do not let them take them into their bedrooms. Never let them be on those screens without an adult. They must be in an open area, because people have no idea who is on the other side of that screen, and the amount of inappropriate material for children. Some Disney movies are unbelievable. I was watching it. Somebody told me, "Oh, you've got to watch this Disney movie." So I kind of glanced at it. Everything was a big deal. Everything was drama. Oh my God, we got to stop this now. Oh my God, she's gonna this. Oh my God. And that was the whole movie. Drama, 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 drama. That's not how our lives are. That's what gets us addicted. That's what gets us
Mm.
addicted. And the screen is made because, as an adult, Carissa, sometimes you find yourself, you'll have been on Facebook for 20 minutes, like, what? Where'd the time go? What am I doing? I've got other things to do. So yes, you've got to
Yeah.
really monitor that. And the amount of predators online for teenagers has really got to be careful. You've really got to be careful.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I know I think have an issue. And then I watched this movie, Social Dilemma, with myself, my own social media, use because you're right. Like I mean, anyways, I used to do that, but not anymore. I can't even start scrolling because then I realize that I could get in a time warp.
Mhm.
Well, I wanted to talk about chores. At what age do you think children can start doing chores? And do you believe that is a necessary component to empower our kids?
I talk about all of this in my lessons. If anyone's interested, they'll start up in
Yeah, you want
October.
to talk about
And,
that? Go ahead.
but also chores are very important, because a 1-year-old can match socks. Okay, they can put the two socks that look alike together. It's not going to be perfect, but it needs to be done. And also, a 1-year-old will turn a book the right side up. So if your book, there it is.
Here's your
And so
books.
if the book is like this, a 1-year-old knows that that's wrong.
Yeah.
He or she will turn it right side up. So that keep your eyes on that. So yes, chores are very important. So putting away their toys.
Yeah.
A 1-year-old can pick up their toys, and even if, let's say they're not walking yet, well then they can hand you things. Oh, go crawl over there and get such and such. Hand that to mommy or daddy, whatever. Yeah. So they should all have chores. And really, when they finish eating, they need to hand you their plate or take their plate to the sink. And as soon as they get old enough, they should get on a stool and learn to wash the dishes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they should be doing chores, because you know what? Our area needs to be kept clean. So nobody should be cleaning up after us. We're each responsible for our own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think I was maybe too loose about that in the beginning. And so now I'm integrating chores into their lives and they don't like it one bit. They fight me the whole
Oh,
way.
yeah. Yeah, I bet.
Screw
Oh,
it. And then once
absolutely.
it's done, I'm like, oh, okay, that's good. I think even
Remember
while
this
they're
one.
doing it, they seem happy. But anyway.
Yes, because they want to contribute. As soon as this is done, then you can get on your phone. As soon as, not if, as soon as you finish taking the garbage out, then you can play with the dog. As soon
Mm-hmm.
as, not if. If is a bribe. As soon as. So then
Mm-hmm.
anything they want to do, you make it contingent upon them getting that chore done.
Well, what is Zen success for kids?
You know, I think that Zen success for kids is really the same as for adults. That is, we feel a sense of belonging. We feel that we contribute. We feel that people want us around. Our family wants us to be there. We feel that we belong. That's to me Zen success. You know, it's when I feel useful. That's when I'm at the top of my game. That's why I go to jails and treatment centers every week, because I'm feel useful there. Because you know what? You're not going to scare me. I taught high school. You're not going to scare me.
You volunteer at the prison or they pay you?
Yes. No, I volunteer.
You volunteer. Well,
I
that's
volunteer.
amazing.
Yeah. I talk to the addicts and alcoholics every Monday. They call it Martha Monday.
Amazing. Well, what a bright light you are. It's been such a pleasure connecting with you, Martha. And I'll put your website and how to buy your book. Yes, you can raise happy, responsible children. I'll put that in the show notes. So thanks for being on my show today, Martha.
Thank
There
you.
it
I enjoyed it.
is.
Endorsed by Jack Canfield of Chicken Soup for the Soul. He says this book has the potential to change the lives of families worldwide.
Incredible. Many blessings.
Same here. Thanks, Carissa.
That's it for today's episode of Zen Success. Head on over to iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or wherever you listen to shows. Subscribe to the show and share with friends. Be sure to head on over to ZenSuccessShow.com to help you on your Zen success journey. And join us on the next episode. May you find your own Zen success in life.